The mother of Madeleine McCann has told the BBC that she travels twice a year to the place where her daughter vanished and that she hopes Madeleine is loved by whoever has taken her.
Kate McCann and her husband Gerry spoke to the BBC's Fiona Bruce ahead of the 7th anniversary of their daughter's disappearance. She says they feel encouraged by recent apparent progress in the inquiry. Madeleine was last seen when she was put to bed in their holiday apartment in Praia da Luz in Portugal in 2007.
The concern that we have, and I think also that the Metropolitan Police have, is that at the minute there's almost a parallel investigations going on, which just doesn't make sense, and we're not quite sure why there's resistance to the joint investigation team, because clearly resources in Portugal is an issue, and this would be one mechanism by which we could have additional funding, and I think from it, you know, we can only see the positives of going down that route.
I mean, do you think there's a sense, you know, I'm speculating obviously, but where the Portuguese police feel this is one case we don't want to revisit? There was so much publicity around it, and not all favourable publicity, certainly here, to the Portuguese police.
I think we had those concerns, but actually, you know, if you speak to Andy Redwood and his team, he's senior investigating officer from the Met, he's saying, you know, the people he's working with in Portugal do want to solve this.
I think as a parent though, I mean, I find the slowness of action in Portugal really hard to take. I find it quite distressing, because even though we're 7 years down the line, waiting weeks or months, particularly for letters of request to be processed basically, and to feed down the chain, and then to come back again, and maybe they have to go back again because it wasn't quite what, you know, was asked or whatever. It is frustrating, and I suppose I do struggle with the fact that, you know, please work together.
Would you ever go back yourselves, put up some posters, or as another way of trying to generate interest and get more evidence again?
I mean, I do go back. I mean, I haven't been since last April, but I do go back for personal reasons. I mean, obviously that's...
You go back regularly, do you?
Well, I might once or twice a year. It's gone down to now.
What to, forgive me, I don't want to pry,
yeah.
But to go to the church there, or?
Yeah, all that.
There's a lot of the local community who are incredibly supportive, Portuguese and others, and we made some good friends there.
And it's difficult because we don't want to go back and generate publicity, because I know a lot of local people don't like that or resent that, and whilst we have some really good friends in Praia da Luz, I know some people would like it to go away, so when I go to Praia da Luz I go quietly.
And I guess for you it's a chance to be close to her. Is that how
Well, it is. I mean, that's obviously the last place we were with Madeleine, and I'll still walk those streets and I guess try and look for answers, or, you know, so it helps me.
It's the 7th anniversary on Saturday. How will you mark that?
Well, usually it's very quietly. We usually have a small gathering in the village, which we've done for the last so many years. We've always said it's actually Madeleine's birthday, which follows soon after, really, which is...
And she would have been 11.
Yeah. 11, yeah.
And that's the more difficult day?
Yeah, definitely.
And is that something that you... I mean, how do you mark that? How do you mark that for a child who's not there?
No, we do. We kind of always remember, don't we?
Yeah,
and
we're still celebrating Madeleine and
let's have a cake and
her birthday with the close family and for the twins. But it's hard. It's really hard. It's not, you know, she's not there. You should be celebrating her. It's by far the toughest day of our year, I think.
And I imagine this is hard every year.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, and you think 11. You know, she's due to start secondary school in September, which is just, you know, it's a long time.
And what's your best hope of where Madeleine is now? Because you've always maintained she could be alive. Mm-hmm. I mean, 7 years after someone goes missing, you can have a death certificate. Sure. You have declined that. You don't want that.
I mean, I think that, you know, that very early on we got advice from the National Centre for Missing Exploited Children, and their CEO was saying, you know, there's a whole load of reasons children get taken. That's the first thing. And they've recovered hundreds of children in unusual circumstances. And I suppose the scenario, and it's not been ruled out, is that Madeleine was taken by someone who wanted a child, and that she's been loved and cared for. That's, I think, the best scenario, but of course there are many others.
Let me just ask you one final thing. You've talked about, you know, the young women that have been found that went missing as girls or as young women and were found many years later, and sometimes they did have access to television, they did have access to newspapers and the internet, but they couldn't escape. It's a long shot, but if Madeleine is alive, if she could hear you, what would you say to her?
We love you, Madeleine. We miss you every day, as we did that very first day, and we're waiting for you. We're never going to give up. We'll do whatever we can to find you.
Kate and Gerry McCann talking to Fiona Bruce. The 7-year anniversary of Madeleine's disappearance is this coming Sunday, May the 3rd.